And welcome into Crunch Time Nightly. I'm Joe Hamilton along with Scott Tobin. Scott, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, Joe. How are you?
Pretty good. Wish we were watching Cardinal baseball today and wish the Blues would have won, but I guess we'll talk about that later. Um, how was your weekend? Was it decent? How you feeling?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Yeah, it would have been a better weekend if the Cardinals would have been able to play baseball and if the Blues would have been able to hold on and win today. So it could be better, but it's all right.
So let's jump right into it. The St. Louis Cardinals got some much needed news today in their battle with COVID-19. According to several sources, the latest round of testing for the club has come back clean. Tomorrow's game against the Pittsburgh Pirates has already been canceled, and we've got word today that the remainder of the series also will be postponed. However, things seem to be trending in the right direction. Is that what you kind of get from the latest round of tests, Scott?
That's what I thought. Although we just got a text a minute ago that said now they're saying Lane Thomas tested positive too. So I'm not sure exactly when that test result came back. If he tested positive today, then that's not a good sign. So I'm not really sure. We need to find out exactly when that test happened, but that kind of brings me down a little bit.
What's depressing to me, Scott, is after I kept talking about this on the broadcast a couple nights ago, the fact that you have 2 straight days of negative tests, and then you have a day where you're testing positive. I just don't get it. How do you have 2 negative tests, the whole team, and then you get one the next? It's just weird.
Well,
especially when you're with the team.
Yeah, they were still in that window where you could have the infection. There's basically a 14-day hibernation period where you can have you can have COVID and it not show up. And so they had actually Wednesday will be 14 days. So they kind of rushed this a little bit. They got the 2 negative tests in Milwaukee and they decided to fly home. Well, obviously one of these guys had the virus. They just weren't showing symptoms yet, and they spread it to other guys. So that's why they've canceled this Pittsburgh series, because that'll get you through Wednesday. That'll get you through 14 days. So then you hope that nobody else tests positive and you're able to get back and play towards the end of next week or this coming week and the weekend. But, again, hearing the news about Lane Thomas and not knowing exactly when that test came, that kind of throws everything up in the air again.
It really does, and it's scary to me, but also I think if the Cardinals do resume play on Thursday, which that's another issue I want to get into real quick. Do you think the Cardinals will push to get that canceled too? Because do you think they would want to not go in and play a doubleheader right away? Do you think there's some kind of issue there? Because I was reading a tweet earlier.
Well, if you push that back, then that just means you still have to play those games at some other point. So that's more games you have to try to make up in a smaller time frame. So I think if they can get through these next couple of days and have their tests come out clean, I think they will try to play that, because you've got to get those games in at some point.
You have to, but at the same time, Rob Manfred did come out and say, Scott, that not everybody's going to be able to play 60 games at this point.
Well, no, I mean, they're not going to be able to play 60 games, but you hope they're going to be able to play 40 games the way they're going. If they keep having to cancel games, they're going to be lucky if they get 30 games in. So, again, it's just going to all come back to what happens over the next couple of days and if they continue to have clean tests.
It surely is depressing, dude. It's something that I wish wouldn't have happened. After hearing the news today and then you heard Lane Thomas tested positive, it's like, it's depressing, dude. I mean, for everyone that follows this team, what mindset are you in with this team right now?
I mean, it's frustrating. We all want them out there playing, but you also want them to be healthy and not anybody risk their health. So, I'm frustrated because I want to see baseball. It irritates me that all these other teams are playing and we're missing out on actually enjoying the game of baseball. But, I also understand that you have to follow health protocols and you've got to make sure everybody's healthy, because you don't want to come back too soon and then have a big outbreak again and then have to miss another 15 games. So, Although I think the big question in St. Louis right now is going to be with Lane Thomas down and Austin Dean down. So there's two outfielders that are going. Does that start to push Dylan Carlson's time clock up now? I know the Cardinals have said there's no need for him, but now all of a sudden there might just be.
Yeah, you almost have to bring the guy up now. I mean, depending on, I know you really don't want to start his clock in a season like this, but at the same time, what else are you to do? And you really need a spark. Um, the real, the person who's really, or the player who's really played well is Tyler O'Neill, and the rest of the outfield has not produced. So if the next guy up and Lane Thomas has COVID, that would make you think that maybe Dylan Carlson gets a shot.
Yeah, I mean, they could, although they're still not at that 7-game mark, so they still got to get a couple of games in. So you can bring up a guy like Justin Williams. They've talked about him a lot. You can bring him up at least for a few days and see what happens. Or, they could go get another infielder and put Tommy Edman in the outfield if they needed to for a few days. But, it does make you start to wonder if they were going to bring Dylan Carlson up, does this kind of speed that up a little bit? So that'll be interesting to see in the next few days what they do there as well.
Yes, that is for sure. This isn't a shock to me. I don't know if it is to you or not, but Mets pitcher and former Cardinals starter Michael Wacha was placed in the injured list today with inflammation in his right shoulder. Michael Wacha is 1-2 this season with a 6.43 ERA. Now, does this shock you, first of all?
It's a shame. Michael Wacha is such a talented guy, but he's had so many problems with that shoulder over the last couple of years. If he could ever have a fully healthy season, I think you could see the guy that we saw a few years ago that won 17 games and, go back to 2013 when he was the MVP of the NLCS. But, the guy just hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's got chronic shoulder problems. And, at this point, you think that's going to be something that plagues him for the rest of his career.
I was thinking to myself off air, Scott, that, he's always going to be injury prone. Just teams who sign him have to understand that. So, I mean, is that your sentiment too, that we know what this guy is? Yes, he has amazing stuff, but he's always going to have an injury risk.
Yeah. The fact that shoulder keeps coming back to bite him, you have to think at this point that that's going to be something he deals with the rest of his career. And he's probably never going to live up to that big potential that he had when he came up as a young kid.
That's for sure. It's kind of depressing if you ask me. Scott, I don't know if you saw this today, but there was a benches clearing brawl between the Astros and Athletics after Ramon Laureano was hit by a pitch, and it was a blatant hit by pitch. Did you by chance see that?
I didn't see it. I heard him talking about it just a little while ago, but I have not gotten a chance to see that highlight.
Basically, it was an all-out fight, and that worries me about COVID-19 also, because they don't want these guys going out and having any of these altercations. Hopefully, nothing comes of this.
Yeah, you hope so. I mean, again, that's players. I know emotions take over and things happen, and you want to defend your teammates. But that's one of these things. These guys have to be smart and remember that that's a risk. They're not supposed to be doing those kinds of things. You're not supposed to be that close and interacting, and especially fighting with each other. But, at the same time, like I said, emotions take over. Heat of the moment, you're defending your teammate. So stuff like that is going to happen, whether they tell them they can't do it or not.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, you're probably going to see some big time either suspensions or you're going to see a lot of fines, because didn't baseball have this in their protocol anyway? No.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be fines, and I'm sure there will be suspensions. There always are when there's brawls like that. So I'm sure baseball will try to make an example out of somebody.
It's sad when you can't even enjoy a good baseball benches clearing because of this stuff. But no, really, you don't really want to see anybody get hurt either. So good thing. At least I didn't hear about any injuries coming out of this as of yet. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, usually there aren't injuries in a brawl like that. I mean, usually there's a couple of punches thrown, but you don't usually hear of anybody seriously getting hurt in those.
Yeah, so I want to get to the NHL real quick. Scott, if you will pull up the scoreboard from today. I got most of the scores final, but I I just want to be sure on my end. I'm going to go to the NHL real quick because the playoffs start Tuesday. Believe it or not, round 1 starts Tuesday. So the Bruins beat the Capitals 2-1. Tom Wilson and TJ Oshie lead the way with a goal each. The Bruins will play Carolina, and the Capitals will play the New York Islanders in the first round. Now, what was your take on this game? Did you see any of this game? How was the flow?
I saw a little bit of it. I was kind of surprised. Yeah, it was a tough game though. What did you think?
It was a good game. It was a low scoring game. You know, these games, these final qualifying games, these final round robin games are going to be tough. They're going to be tough scoring or tough defending, hard hitting. It was a fun game to watch. It's amazing to me how the Blues and Bruins are the both number 4 seeds in their conferences. Does that shock you at all, or does that just tell you these games don't really mean much?
No, well, they do mean a lot because neither one of those teams really wanted to be a 4 seed. It's a little surprising because they're the 2 teams that everybody kind of thought were going to maybe find each other in a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Finals, and they still could, but neither team came out and played with the intensity that you expected them to. I've said for the 4 games the Blues played, they just looked uninterested to me. They looked slow. They looked uninterested. They looked like they just weren't ready to play hockey, which was really surprising with all the boistering they did going into this camp about how, they didn't need anything. They wanted to get out and play. They were ready to play. They knew what they had to do. They were ready to go try to repeat as champions, and they sure don't look like a team that's trying to do that right now.
That's for sure. We'll get to that in a second. The Bruins will play Carolina. That's a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Final. Do you think Carolina's learned anything from last year? I mean, the Bruins were going to get to the final anyway. Do you think Carolina's more suited to face them this year than they were last year?
Probably a little bit. I mean, you always learn when you play a team like that. There's always things you pick up and you see video and you're more prepared to play them in a series the next year. But, again, I think Boston's going to be tough to beat. Even though they struggled, I still think they're going to be – still think them and Philadelphia are probably the odds-on 2 teams that I would say meet in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Wow, giving an early prediction. I like that. You got to save that, though, for when Wags is on here, just because I want you on the record with that with him, too.
I will. But I'll say it, I'll say it now. We kind of said it when we first started talking about the playoffs that we thought those were the 2 teams. And so, yeah, I'll say it. I'm not going to shy away from that.
The Capitals will play the New York Islanders in the first round, and that series intrigues me for one reason only. You got the Capitals team who is facing their former head coach in Barry Trotz. I feel like that series could go 7 games.
I agree with you. I think that'll be a tough series, and I think it more than likely will go 7 games.
I feel like, man, the Islanders are coached very well, like the Capitals were last year or 2 years ago when they won the Stanley Cup. So anything's on the table with that series. I'm gonna wait for a prediction on that one until Wags gets back on, because that's another interesting series that I want to get his take on. So, like you said before, the Stars and Blues ended in a shootout 2-1. The Stars win this one. Robert Thomas scores the only goal for the St. Louis Blues. As you said before, the Blues as a whole didn't look good in this round robin. No sense of urgency whatsoever. And all 3 games, they've had a lead going into the third period, or took the lead in the third period, and they've just been lackadaisical with it and lost all 3 leads. So what do you think? What is the biggest testament for the Blues struggles right now?
They've looked slow, I think. They've looked slow. They've had trouble getting the puck out of their own end. That's been the 2 biggest things. They've looked slow on the ice, and they've had trouble clearing the puck. That's happened in at least a couple of those games where they just couldn't get the puck out of their own zone and gave the other team just way too many opportunities. And, they've just got to play better. And, hopefully hopefully they find a way to flip that switch and get going in the playoff series. But I'm a little worried right now.
You were a little worried even after the first round robin game.
I was a little worried after I saw them play the Blackhawks in that exhibition game. I thought they looked slow. I thought they didn't look ready to play. And that's not something you just expected this team to come out firing on all cylinders when you heard them talking so much about how they had one goal and they were ready and, they didn't need anything but a bed and they were ready to play hockey and they were going to get to their ultimate goal. And there was so much boastering and so much talk from them. This just isn't what I expected coming out of the gate.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the Blues will play Vancouver in the first round, and that brings up some challenges. Because I think Vancouver, the Blues haven't been able to solve the Vancouver Canucks the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on the Canucks?
It's going to be a tough series. The Blues defense is definitely going to have to step up. They're going to have to play better defense. They're going to have to be able to clear the puck. They're going to have to play a little faster, and they're going to have to score some goals. Other than the game the other night, they really didn't score much in these round robin games or in the game against the Blackhawks. So their offense really needs to get going. Their defense needs to get going. Other than their goaltending, which has been pretty good. I mean, yeah, Bennington gave up 6 goals the other night, but for the most part, he played really well. And for the most part today, Jake Allen played really well. So, the goalkeepers have definitely been the key so far.
They have. And who have been the guys that you look at and you're like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, just everybody, man. Honestly, like I said, they just have looked slow to me. I haven't seen anybody that I've looked at and thought, man, they really look good out there. Other than the goalkeepers, I just think everybody has looked sluggish, and they hope that wears off. You hope they're able to flip that switch next week as you head into that first round.
Yeah, and we will know later tonight what time these games will be and when they will start. It's either going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, so it's going to be fun. So right now, what's going on? What's going on game-wise? You have the Blue Jackets and the Maple Leafs going at it in Game 5. Last time I checked, it was 1-0. Is that still the score, Scott? I'm not by a TV.
That is still the score.
Man, it seems like in this game, the Maple Leafs have really showed me something. They look like they want to win this game, and they look like they're on it. The thing is, Jonas Korpisalo, man, this guy's standing on his head right now.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. But yeah, Toronto's shown a lot of grit these last couple of games. So this is going to be a fun game to see the end of and see who comes out of this series.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And whoever wins this game will go on to face the Tampa Bay Lightning. That will be a tough series, and you don't know if you're going to have Victor Hedman back for Tampa. So whoever wins this game, will they have a chance against Tampa? I know Tampa has the superstars, but we've seen in the past that Tampa does not look good in the playoffs ever. At least we thought they were cup favorites last year, got knocked out by the Blue Jackets in the first round. Do you see that happening again this year? Or do you think Tampa goes on a run?
It's hard to say. I mean, like you said, Tampa's been, we thought, really good for a couple of different runs, and then they end up getting knocked out. So, I mean, they definitely have a chance to win. But whoever comes out of this series, Toronto or Columbus, is also going to be on a little bit of a roll, have a lot of momentum coming out of this game. So that's going to lead to a pretty exciting series there that you would think probably might go 7 games.
Yeah, that's for sure, and I can't wait to see that. While I finish looking up the scores of baseball scores from today, Scott, talk to us about St. Louis Sports Co.
If you're a sports collectors fan, if you have a sports collectibles fan in your life, you need to head out to St. Louis Sports Co. They're located in the Chesterfield Mall in the upper level. They have a wide variety of collectibles, a lot of Blue stuff right now as the Blues are getting ready to make their run in the playoffs. They've also got a ton of Cardinals stuff. They've got new Jack Flaherty and new Yachty stuff coming in all the time. They have some Dylan Carlson stuff coming in. I know they're working on, hopefully towards the end of the season, if possible, doing a couple of signings. They've got some things lined up that they're hoping to be able to do, depending on social distancing guidelines. But they've got a lot of stuff. You can check them out in the store, or you can go to their website, stlouissportsco.com. Check out all the stuff they have, and you can visit the store. They're located in the upper level of the Chesterfield Mall, right across from the escalator to the AMC Theater.
So the Braves beat the Phillies 5-2. Braves starter, I can't pronounce this guy's name, so bear with me, guys, if I'm terrible at it. I think it's Noah. He goes 2 1/3 innings, allowing 1 hit and 1 earned run. Velasquez goes 4 innings, allowing 3 hits, 1 earned run, 6 Ks. And it was basically home run derby in this one, Scott. You had all the Braves runs were scored on home runs. What do you make of that?
I mean, that's the way baseball is played a lot of times right now. A lot of teams, it's home runs or you don't score, and the Braves are definitely a ball club that live and die with the home run.
That's for sure. And the Phillies, they seem to always disappoint me, man. They have a good roster. It seems like they have what's enough to win, and it seems like they always underachieve. Why do you think that is?
I don't know that they're underachieving this year. Wags and I talked about this last night. The way that NL East is set up with all the injuries that everybody else is having, I think the Phillies are the team that ends up winning that division this year. Bryce Harper is starting to feel comfortable in Philadelphia. You can see it from the way he's playing. He made a couple of unbelievable diving catches in the outfield last night. He had a couple of big hits. If they're pitching, Jake Arrieta pitched really well last night. So if you have Arrieta and Wheeler and Aaron Nola pitch the way they're capable of, I think that team can really make a run, and I think they'll win that Eastern Division.
The reason why I say that is we thought this last year and the year before, or last year at least, and they really didn't impress me at all. I hope you're right, Scott, because yes, we picked who we picked to win the East. But with everything that's going on, I really hope Philadelphia finds a way to win this, or at least get into the playoffs. Because let's be honest here, that Philadelphia seemed to be scary in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, and you got to think about it. They were a trendy pick last year. You had Bryce Harper come in there. You had JT Realmuto come in there. You had Jake Arrieta go there. You had Andrew McCutchen go there. So you had a bunch of new guys coming together. And like we've talked about, a lot of times when you have that many new guys get to a team, it takes them a year longer than you think for them to really gel and everybody get to know each other and that team to really get rolling. So this would be the year that you would think Philadelphia would make that run.
Yankees and Rays. This game ended. This was a close game. Rays beat the Yankees 4-3. James Paxton pitched well in this one. He went 6 1/3, allowing 4 hits on 3 earned runs and struck out 11. Charlie Morton only goes 2 innings, allowing 3 hits and 1 run while striking out 1. Scott, am I eating crow again? Because I've said in the past, Charlie Morton's going to win the Cy Young Award.
Yeah,
he's not shown me much at all.
Yeah, Charlie Morton's definitely been a disappointment for the Rays so far this year. He's struggled. He's not throwing a lot of innings, and he's not been real consistent. He's given up a lot of hits and quite a few runs and just hasn't been the guy they were counting on. So, yeah, it's not been a good look for him. I thought that was a good pick when you made it. I thought he was definitely a dark horse to be in the running for the Cy Young, but it's just not worked out for him to this point. But he still has time to turn it around.
He still does, but again, it's a short season. You're only going to have 10 or 11 starts. So, and you need to be going longer in games than just 2 innings, 3 innings.
Right, you do. And, every starting pitcher struggles a little bit. They're going to have a game or two like that during the season. Like I said, he's not off to a very good start, but, he's still got, you figure he's still got 7 or 8 starts that he can turn it around and still have a solid season.
That's for sure. I hope they do, because I hope he does, because again, yes, I'm eating crow now, but I hope I'm not by the end of the season. The Mets beat the Marlins 4-2. Pablo Lopez got the loss in this one, going 5 innings, allowing 5 hits, 2 earned runs, while striking out 4. Jacob deGrom wins again, 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks. And Nimmo and McNeil combined for 3 RBIs. What do you make of Jeff McNeil, man? This guy, when he burst off the scene, I'm like, who is this guy? Now he's just turning into that real solid player.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. He's turned into a solid player, not somebody that everybody was talking about. He's kind of been under the radar, but he's put up solid numbers, and he's been a good find for the Mets.
Yeah, that's for sure. Do you like Brendan Nimmo in that outfield too?
Yeah, he's not bad. He's not going to do anything real flashy, but he's a pretty solid player for them.
So what do you see with the Mets? I mean, yes, they beat the Marlins, but are they done?
I don't know. Again, that Eastern Division is a mess. The Marlins went into that series 7-1, and the Mets took 2 out of 3. So I don't know if that says more about the fact that the Marlins aren't for real, or that the Mets are better than people think since Cespedes left.
That's
and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No,
but the Mets have had so many issues with their pitching. Waka goes on the IL today. You had Stroman there. They lost Syndergaard, although Marcus Stroman apparently is getting closer to coming back, so that'll be a big lift for them if they get him back in the next couple of weeks. So, I think that East is up for grabs. I just said I thought Philly might be the team to snatch that because they have the best lineup if their starting pitching goes. But, if you get Stroman back and you have DeGrom and you can get something out of Porcello and, some of those guys in the Mets lineup hit, they might be able to make a run.
Yeah, that's for sure. The Tigers beat the Pirates in a close game by the final score of 2-1. Turnbull with another good start. I like this guy. I don't know about you, Scott. 7 innings, 5 hits, allowing 1 earned run, and he struck out 4. Stephen Brault only goes 2 innings, allowing 2 innings and striking out 1. Cabrera and Romine both have an RBI in this one. What do you think of this Turnbull kid?
He's done really well. He's another guy that's a young kid that there's not a lot of hype around, but he's looked pretty good for the Tigers. And the Tigers overall have looked good. Nobody thought the Tigers would be where they are right now. And, I don't know if it's a short season or what, but somehow Miggy Cabrera is starting to look like the old Miggy Cabrera. He's hitting for power. He's driving home runs. And if he could keep going, the Tigers could still make some noise this year.
That's for sure, man. And just to think about it, the Tigers making noise, that would just make me so happy. Just because, again, like I keep talking about with the short season, you never know who's going to be those contenders. So that would be nice, at least for me, because you always hear about the Indians. They have great pitching. You hear about the Twins, and you don't really hear much about the Tigers about anything. So it'd be nice. But it would stink. It would stink, though, after 1 year, Scott, if the Tigers go back to losing 100 games next year in a full season.
Yeah, I mean, that Detroit team, they're a surprise because there's not a ton of talent on that team. They've got a bunch of young kids and a bunch of older guys. So I don't know if they can hold this together even for the 60-game season. Maybe they can. Maybe they sneak into the playoffs. Next year will be really interesting if we play a full season because I'm not sure that they're quite there yet to where they can compete in a full 162-game season. But, this year it's fun. And, like you said, you don't hear a whole lot about the Tigers the last couple of years. For pretty much a decade, they ran that Central Division in the American League.
Yeah, that's for sure. The Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 5-3. Matt Shoemaker goes 6 innings, allowing 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and he strikes out 6. Nathan Eovaldi had a good start in this one. 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 10 Ks. I'll go on the Blue Jays side for a second first. What do you think of Matt Shoemaker? He never really got it together in LA, but what do you think of what he's done in Toronto? Do you think he could still be a good pitcher?
Matt Shoemaker was a big prospect when he came up with the Angels. He's never been able to stay healthy for a full season, but there's no question he's talented. So again, if he can stay healthy, he could be a big piece for the Blue Jays. It's just a question of kind of like we talked about Michael Wacha. When you've been injured as much as he has, is that something that's going to pop up at some point every season? So you just don't know. You kind of hold your breath every time he goes out there. But if he can stay healthy, he's going to be competitive, and he could be a big piece to that rotation.
Yep, that's for sure. Going on the Red Sox side, Nathan Eovaldi, do you see this guy getting moved at all?
It's possible. You know, there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams out there looking for pitching. You know, when you look at what people are projecting at the trade deadline, pretty much every team, you know, are either looking for starting pitching or bullpen help. There's only 2 or 3 teams listed as looking for offense. So, you know, the Red Sox could definitely move him. Somebody would be interested. You know, Boston's had to almost count on him to be an ace, which he's not. But, you know, for a team that's competitive, he's a really good 3rd or 4th starter for a team trying to make a playoff run. So, yeah, I can see him getting moved.
The Royals beat the Twins 4-2, and that's a shocking one to me. But you know what? The Royals are going to get some wins in a 60-game season. I'm fine with that. Brady Singer gets the win in this one. He's actually really showed me something. He went 5 innings in this one, allowing 5 hits, 2 earned runs, while striking out 4. Barrios gets the loss in this one, going 5 1/3, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 Ks, and Franco homers for KC. I wish Franco would have, you know, been a good player in Philadelphia because of all the hype he was under. I wish he would have done something.
He was a solid player in Philadelphia. There were some issues there, but he was solid. And you got to give Kansas City some credit. Mike Matheny's doing a nice job. You look at what Kansas City's done. You know, they beat Chicago 13-2 on Thursday, and then they take 2 out of 3 from Cleveland over the weekend. So those were the 2 teams with the best winning percentages in baseball going into the weekend. So Kansas City's playing some pretty good baseball, and our old friend Trevor Rosenthal is doing a nice job for the Royals in the closer's role.
So I'm gonna call it the American League Cardinals. I mean, you got Matheny coaching and you have Rosenthal closing. Brings back memories there, doesn't it?
Yeah. You just hope that Mike doesn't wear Trevor out. And there's another guy that if he shows a lot in these next couple of weeks, I could definitely see there being a market by some contenders for Trevor Rosenthal. You know, teams that are looking for a closer, he would not be a bad pickup.
Quickly, your thoughts on Brady Singer?
He's another guy that's looked good. You know, he's a young guy. You know, the Royals are up and coming, and he's going to be a big part of that if they're going to succeed in the next few years.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just going on scores real quick. I'm just going to run through it real quick. The Brewers beat the Reds 9-3. Actually, I want to ask you, what do you think of the Reds now? Is this hype train over?
No, I wouldn't say so because they'd won 3 out of 4 coming into today. So they're getting closer to 500. They're definitely not the team that everybody thought they were, but they're going to make a run at a playoff spot, you know, with 16 teams getting in, 8 teams from each division getting in, or league getting in, I should say. They'll definitely be in contention for one of those playoff spots.
Angels lose a tough one to the Rangers today by final score of 7-3. What do you make of the Rangers?
Wags and I talked about this last night. The Rangers are kind of a disappointment. You know, we thought with that pitching staff that they would be halfway decent, but their pitching hasn't lived up to what we thought it was going to be this year. You know, they lost Corey Kluber early, which was a big blow, and their offense really isn't doing much other than Joey Gallo. So kind of disappointed with the Rangers. I thought they would be a little better than they are right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. The Mariners beat the Rockies 5-3. Now, I was shocked in this one, knowing how the Rockies started. The Mariners take 2 of 3 from them.
Yeah, you know, the Rockies are off to a really good start, but I'm still not sure how good of a ball club that is. You know, they've got a solid lineup. I'm not sure their pitching is going to hold up. So I'm not sure the Rockies are going to stay at the top of that division for too terribly long.
That's for sure. So the Padres beat the Diamondbacks by a final of 9-5. Are you starting to really believe in the San Diego Padres, or do you think they'll fade?
Their pitching's still a huge question. Fernando Tatis Jr. is on fire. He's driving the ball out of the ballpark all over the place. So he's kind of leading that team. Manny Machado's been pretty quiet in San Diego early this season. And their pitching's still a question. So I'm not sure that I'm not sure what to think of the Padres yet. they're another team that could make a run at one of those playoff spots, but I don't think they win the division this year.
We mentioned the Athletics and Astros before. The Athletics take down the Astros 7-2. The Astros window is closed. Am I wrong?
No, probably not. Losing Justin Verlander was a huge blow to them. And then they've got a bunch of guys that are going to be free agents next year. So this is probably their last year to really make a run, and they're struggling. Oakland's playing really, really well. So, again, if Verlander is able to come back in a couple of weeks, maybe they are a team again that makes a run at one of those 7th or 8th spots in the American League playoffs. But, yeah, I'd say their chances of winning a World Series are probably gone.
Yeah, that's for sure. The Dodgers beat the Giants 6-2. No surprise there. The Braves beat the Phillies in Game 2 of that doubleheader by a final 8-0. They're just bashing the Phillies today.
Yep. Yes, they are.
So in the final game, Orioles beat the Nationals it's suspended actually. The Orioles are up on the Nationals 5-2. Are you shocked the Orioles are playing well?
I am. We talked about how bad Baltimore was before the season started, that they really had nobody. And a bunch of these kids that nobody knows a whole lot about have come out and done some stuff. So, again, I'm not sure they're a team that can hold up when you've got the Yankees and the Rays and the Blue Jays in that division. But, yeah, they've been surprising to this point.
Yeah, they have been. And I love to see them continue, to be honest with you. But, again, it remains to be seen. Man, a lot of great matchups in the NBA today. The Grizzlies beat the Raptors, or Raptors beat the Grizzlies. Excuse me, Scott. I know you're going to be like, what? No. The Raptors beat the Grizzlies today by a score of 108-99. Pascal Siakam led the Raptors with 26 points. I was waiting for Pascal Siakam to finally do something in this return to play, because I've liked this guy ever since he came up with Toronto.
Yeah, he's a good ball player. Toronto's got a good basketball team. It's gonna be interesting to see how that Eastern Conference shakes out when you've got Toronto and Boston and Milwaukee. I think those three teams are going to fight it out, and it's going to be fun to watch to see who comes out of that East.
Dylan Brooks had 25 points, and John Morant had 17 points and 10 rebounds in the loss. Is John Morant your far and away rookie of the year?
Yeah, probably. He's done really well. He's done really, really well. If he would have been able to play more of the season the way he's going right now, I'd say Michael Porter Jr. would probably have been your rookie of the year. But yeah, Morant's probably got it.
That's that question was asked today on Facebook. I think ESPN posted something, and yeah, Morant going away. I'm sorry. The Spurs beat the Pelicans today by a final score of 122-113. New Orleans is slipping further and further. Do you even see them doing anything?
No, they're done. They're done. They're not. They're watching Zion's minutes. They're not really playing him a whole lot. They're not making a run. They're not going to the playoffs. They're done for the season.
DeMar DeRozan led the Spurs with 27 points. Rudy Gay adds 19 points and 5 rebounds. What do you think of DeMar DeRozan, another guy who is in Toronto or has been in Toronto most of his career? What are your thoughts on DeMar DeRozan?
DeMar DeRozan's a solid player. He was in Toronto. He was frustrated because he didn't think they were winning enough when he was there. But yeah, he's a solid player. Always has been. He's got a nice shot. I've always been a fan.
I have been too. I've always noticed him in Toronto. So glad he's doing it with another team too. The Celtics beat the Magic in a close game, 122-119. Gordon Hayward led Boston with 31 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jason Tatum had 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. If these guys are both going, these guys being Gordon Hayward and Jason Tatum, can he be stopped?
They're going to be tough. I said that earlier in the week. I said, I thought Gordon Hayward was the key to the Eastern Conference, that if he could stay healthy and play like he did when he was in Utah, and Jason Tatum is still able to keep up what he's done, I think they're going to be really hard to beat. If I had to guess, I would say it's a Boston-Milwaukee Eastern Conference Final.
That's a pretty safe guess. Would you have guessed that before the season?
It would have been a toss-up between Boston and Toronto, just because even though Toronto lost a couple pieces, I still thought they were going to be really good.
Nikola Vucevic had 26 points and 11 rebounds in the loss for the Magic. By the way, did I butcher that name?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not an easy one to pronounce.
Hey, was I close at least?
Yeah, you did all right. You did all right.
So the Trailblazers take down the 76ers 124 to 121. Damian Lillard goes off tonight, scoring 51 points to lead the Blazers. Wow. This is what I'm talking about with Damian Lillard. This guy deserves an NBA championship based off of his work ethic.
Yeah, I knew you'd be excited when you saw that point total. He was making up a little bit today for his struggles at the end of the game yesterday, but when he's on, he's a very good player. He's one of the best players in the league when he's on.
Oh, you guys made sure that you guys made sure I saw that message. No, I knew he was going to rebound, to be honest with you. I liked Damian Lillard for a long time. Again, he deserves everything he gets. So, Josh Richards had 34 points in a losing cause for the 76ers. So, has this game gone final? Where are we at in this game? The Kings-Rockets game, are they close to being over? It was the start of the fourth.
Yeah, there's still about 45. There's about a minute and 45 seconds left.
What's the score in that one?
It's 116 to 112 right now.
Man, what is it, man? I like these close games. What do you like close games, Scott, or you don't like blowouts, but do you like them like 4 points, 5 points?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it makes for exciting basketball. Wags and I were talking yesterday. We were both watching basketball, and we're messaging back and forth, and there were some really, really good games yesterday. They all came down. A couple of overtime games all came down in the last few seconds, and it was pretty exciting basketball. We were really enjoying it last night, talking about how this could really get us back into watching the NBA the way those games went.
The Nets and the Clippers are going on right now. And that should be a good game too. Do you like the Brooklyn Nets at all? I mean, do you think they could? I know they're not going to do much, but do you see them getting past one round?
I don't know if they will this year. The Nets are going to be really good next year because you're going to have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both back next year. So that'll make a huge difference. This year, I don't really see them going too far.
Oh, this is interesting. The Grizzlies loss today guarantees the Western Conference will have an 8-9 play-in game on August 15th. If the eighth seed wins, they advance. But if the 9th seed wins, a second contest will be played on August 16th. Will that get you into basketball too?
Oh, yeah. That's just going to be exciting. First time that's ever happened in NBA history, the way they're doing that. So, yeah, it's going to make it that much more exciting. And, there's like 5 teams within 2.5 games in the West. So it will be interesting to see where that goes.
NBA Hall of Famer Paul Westphal announces today he has been diagnosed with brain cancer. You never want to hear that, Scott, but especially from a NBA Hall of Famer, a guy who was a great player. What did you think when you saw this news?
Oh, that's horrible. You never, like you said, you never want to see that happen to anybody. And Paul Westphal has been a great player for a long time. So definitely not something that you wanted to see happen.
Going into the NFL real quick, and this story shocks me, the fact that this guy didn't opt out when he had the chance to. I guess he didn't know he had this, but Minnesota Vikings star linebacker Cameron Smith has his 2020 season come to an end as he revealed this morning he suffers from a congenital heart condition that he learned about only after testing positive for the coronavirus. He will need open heart surgery to fix an aortic valve. He was born with, I don't know. It's just help me here because I kind of screwed up.
No, you're fine. Yeah, he's got a heart problem that he didn't know he was born with. Didn't know he had the issue until he went and tested positive for COVID. So luckily, I mean, in his case, it was kind of a blessing in disguise that he ended up with COVID. But he's going to have open heart surgery to have it fixed, and it's an aortic valve that he has in his heart that's not working right. So they're going to do open heart surgery, fix that. And he told Minnesota fans, "Don't worry, he plans to return to the field at some point next year."
Are you shocked that he's announced that he's coming back, or do you think because who knows what could happen? Having brain issues or having heart issues? I see. Thank you. Having heart issues, that's kind of tough being a football player.
Yeah, it is. But if they go in and fix it, he should be okay. He's only 23. He's a future Pro Bowler. He's a very good linebacker for the Vikings. Big part of that defense. It's going to hurt them that he's not there. And so, yeah, he's planning on coming back, and hopefully he's able to. Just have to hope and pray that everything goes well, and he is able to come back next year.
The Detroit Lions have traded cornerback Michael Jackson to the New England Patriots for an undisclosed pick in the 2022 draft. Your thoughts on that?
They were going to cut him. That was the announcement early this morning, was that they were going to cut him, and then they ended up being able to work out a deal with the Patriots for a draft pick, not next year, but in 2022. So good deal for the Lions. Good deal for him that he's able to find a new team and go to the Patriots.
Yeah, especially with all the opt-outs the Patriots have had, at least they need some bodies right now, that's for sure.
They do.
Free agent cornerback Captain Munnerlyn was reportedly arrested this weekend at a Miami International Airport on a fugitive warrant for reportedly writing bad checks. Munnerlyn played for the Vikings last year. I don't know what to make of this story. I didn't think Munnerlyn had that kind of bad reputation. I mean, yeah, this isn't as bad as what the NFL's had to deal with the past with domestic violence and everything. But does this shock you?
A little bit. The fact that it's a fugitive warrant, apparently it was out of Las Vegas. He'd written a couple of bad checks to casinos out there and then had fled the area. So, yeah, he's going to be extradited back to Vegas. So it doesn't say in the story how much money he wrote bad checks for. But, yeah, it's not a good look, especially for somebody that's a free agent and hasn't found a team yet, because I think he's either 32 or 33 at this point.
He's still a good player, man.
Yeah, but, you get to that age as a defensive back, your speed starts to go a little bit. When you start to lose even a half a step as a corner, that hurts you in the league.
So if college football, this is interesting. This is what I've wanted to see the NFL do since the pandemic started, knowing you may not see college football or football in general, but still the NFL is still planning on to go on with the season. They must know something we don't, but that's another story. If college football doesn't play this year, the NFL would likely play on Saturdays. Sources with inside information said that the league would plan triple headers on Saturday with games at 1, 4:30, and 8 p.m. Eastern. Your thoughts on that? Because I've wanted the NFL to do this, period. I know you're not going to go up against college when they're on. I understand that. But I feel like the NFL should at least go to one game on Saturdays, period, and cut out Thursday night football. I understand doing like an off night. Do a Saturday game. Do a Saturday night game.
There's a lot more to that than just them wanting to go on Saturdays, because there's anti-trade laws that are set up that the NFL can't televise games on Fridays or Saturdays before or after Labor Day and before mid-December. So they would have to go file a federal injunction with the FCC and have that changed for 1 year. So there's a bunch of loopholes they would have to jump to make that actually happen. But yeah, I mean, if college football doesn't play and the NFL does, which I'm still not sure we're going to see NFL football this year, then yeah, it's possible. It would be nice to have some kind of football on a Saturday afternoon.
That's for sure. Moving to the NCAA, two prominent Power 5 athletic directors told CBS Sports late on Saturday that the cancellation of the 2020 football season is, quote, unavoidable, referencing the lack of progression in the fight against coronavirus, according to their medical professionals. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you agree with this at all?
I do agree with it. They're seeing, the people that they're listening to at their universities, the medical professionals at the universities are saying, hey, we're doing a horrible job fighting this. We don't see any way that you guys are going to be able to play. And I mean, you can't really argue with that right now.
Quoting, it's not fair what we're doing to our coaches and student athletes. I would agree with that, because that decision in my mind should have been made, probably a month ago, to be honest with you. That football shouldn't happen. They shouldn't have all these plans. That probably won't happen anyway. I understand making plans. We talked about this before, but I don't think there should be plans, because, again, this isn't going away. I don't understand why you make plans for something that 90% chance is not going to happen.
It was all about money. They're hoping. Wags and I talked about this in depth last night, but it's all about the money that the universities make from college football and how important that is to fund programs at universities. And so they were doing everything they could to be able to play. And right now they're starting to come to the realization that might not be possible.
Scott, if college football does happen, if college football does happen, tell people how you can watch it, maybe enjoying a brat in your outside kitchen. God, that was awful. No, talk about how you can enjoy sports outside and not have to worry about it. No, I don't know. Talk about ProScape Pool and Landscaping. Oh, there you go. I kind of lost Scott there for a second. I don't know what's going on. But two prominent Power 5 athletic directors that I just read that. Don't know why I had that. Power 5 conference commissioners are scheduled to hold an emergency meeting late this afternoon to discuss the viability of playing a 2020 season during a pandemic. The Big Ten seems to be the driving force of the meeting, as the league seems prepared to, quote, pull the plug on all its fall sports and wants to gauge the SEC, ACC, Pac-12, and Big 12. If the ACC, SEC, Pac-12, and Big 12 would be willing to do the same. Scott, what are your thoughts on that? It seems I lost Scott altogether. But I think that's a good move. I feel like, having a 2020 NCAA season wouldn't be right, because if you're having trouble with certain sports traveling anyway, like you are with, here we go. Sorry, Scott, there you go. Hey, I was going to ask you, what do you think of the Power 5 conferences commissioners holding actually meetings to determine if it's even feasible to have a season? Why is this meeting just now happening?
Because they're, like we said, they're realizing that, despite their best efforts to play this season, it's not looking good. Coronavirus cases keep popping up all over the country because people aren't doing what they're supposed to help make this go away. It just keeps getting worse and worse. The numbers are going up like crazy all over the country. And they don't want to put their athletes in jeopardy, their student athletes in jeopardy, their coaching staffs in jeopardy. And so they're starting to realize they may have to pull the plug. The Big Ten is kind of the driving force behind that, because they're talking about pulling the plug on all their fall sports, not just football.
Right.
But everything. And then they kind of wanted to have that meeting today because they wanted to talk and see if the SEC and Pac-12 and Big 12 and ACC would follow suit and cancel all of their fall sports as well. So, I mean, we're getting to that point. I saw a report right before we came on that announcement could be made before the end of the week that we won't see collegiate fall sports at all.
Which is a good thing because I don't think Scott, like I've said before, you can't police young athletes to do what if you can't police everyday adults that aren't playing sports at all to not wear a mask or to wear a mask. How are you going to do it to college kids who are partying most of the time in college? You know what I mean? Or tempted to anyway.
Well, it's not a good thing because it's going to hurt the universities so exponentially. It's not even funny. Wags and I went into big detail about that last night. But, I understand what you're saying because the risk of what it could do to these athletes, you could have somebody get really sick or die or something, and you don't want to see that happen. But it's going to be a huge blow to the universities economically. It's going to be a huge blow to sports programs at the collegiate level. It's going to be a huge blow to the colleges themselves and other programs besides sports. So you definitely don't want to see that happen, and you just hope that it doesn't carry over and they don't have to start thinking about canceling the winter sports as well.
That's for sure. Before we get out of here, Scott, talk about how you could win some awards with your backyards.
We're getting in the fall season. People are starting to think about fire pits and outdoor kitchens and stuff like that. So if you're considering doing something like that in your backyard, you need to contact our friends at ProScape Pool and Landscaping. They can hook you up with a state-of-the-art outdoor kitchen, a great fire pit. They can also do retaining walls, custom landscaping if you're wanting to do some stuff for the fall, plant some fall flowers, that kind of stuff. They can take care of all of that for you. And it's never too early to start thinking about that pool for next spring. So if you're thinking about a custom concrete in-ground pool, Jason and his crew can definitely help you out with that. So make sure you go to their website and check out some of the work they've done at proscapepoolandlandscaping.com or give Jason a call. And they will be more than happy to help you out with all your needs.
Man, really, go on their website, go on their Facebook page because they've done some amazing work. We're still trying to go out and see the work they've done. I can't wait to do that, man.
Yeah, we're going to have to get out there. I need to get a hold of Jason. I haven't talked to him for a little bit. But, yeah, we need to get out there real soon. I know he's just about got his pool done at his house. If it's not done, I want to go out there and check that out.
All right, so great show, man. Can't wait to do this all again tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. We do our podcast tomorrow afternoon, always streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're also on tomorrow night, again at 9 p.m., Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, do whatever you can because any support we get is good. So for Scott, for Joe, for Wags, for Scott, I'm Joe. We will see you guys next week or tomorrow.